Hello everyone, I'm Cody.
And I'm Liz.
And welcome to Unit 5, Hit and Run. Now, not a good topic to talk about, but one that's important to discuss because recently in the news, in a situation here in Seoul, was a hit and run that occurred between some U.S. diplomat or some of the diplomat personnel and a taxi driver. They were involved in a fender-bender situation, the dispute or the situation that occurred hasn't been resolved yet, and that is due to something called diplomatic immunity. Personnel.
Personnel.
Diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic immunity.
Now, this is a long-standing tradition culturally across the world in this diplomatic thing to allow any personnel who work for some embassy or some government, foreign government, to not necessarily face the full consequences of the local law. But this topic is definitely a sore spot in Korea because also in recent news there's been situations of the Belgian ambassador's wife where she has kind of attacked a few people or beat them for no good reason, it seemed. Sore spot.
Sore spot.
That ambassador lost his job and, well, the charges against the wife were dropped because of this diplomatic immunity. And they were obviously returned back to Belgium. And, you know, that was I think the husband losing the job was a big enough punishment, unfortunately. And also in the news was these Pakistani diplomats that had stole things, and they were little value, but the principle nonetheless is they stole, but they face no consequences. And so that's why this topic is a sore spot, a sensitive issue. So I want to focus on kind of the accident aspect and ask you, have you ever witnessed a hit and run, or have you ever been involved in any kind of accident?
I fortunately never witnessed a hit and run, I don't think. But I was in a car accident. Actually, 2 car accidents.
Minor, major?
The first one was, so not major in the sense that anybody was seriously injured, fortunately.
That's good.
Aside from my car. I was a teenager. In America, we could drive when we were 16, and I took full advantage of that. And I think it was probably my senior year, so I was 17, 18 years old, and I was driving to school, and my school was about 30, 40 minutes away, because it was in the next town over. Yeah, and so it was the middle of nowhere. I lived in a very rural community, so I was driving past a whole bunch of farms, and there was a curve, so it was a blind curve, and the woman coming in the opposite direction went over the line and smashed right into me. And there was no one around, and we had no cell phones, so I had to walk like 100 meters to the nearest farmhouse and ask to borrow their phone. But fortunately, again, my car was totaled and went to the junkyard and say a prayer for the car. But but neither I nor the woman were seriously injured. So I just missed a day of school, and that was not too bad.
You had a legitimate reason.
Legitimate reason.
Yeah. Especially if it's another town, you gotta get there somehow.
Gotta get there somehow. How about you? Have you ever been in an accident or witnessed an accident?
Well, both. I've been in 3 accidents. The first 2 not my fault. Actually, I should say all 3 not my fault.
Okay.
The first 2 were very minor, like fender-bender, just hitting a bumper. Now someone hit me. Fender-bender.
Fender-bender.
And the other one, someone swiped my car. So not my fault at all. But the third one was pretty major. My car was completely totaled and it kind of caused some medical issues. But definitely, again, not my fault.
Good.
Got some compensation from that. But, accidents of any kind, it's your vehicle. You don't want something happening to it.
Right.
So I can kind of feel for that taxi driver if the diplomat hit him from behind, whatever the situation was. Now, hit and run, I have witnessed that. And I'm pretty sure it was a drunk driver pretty late at night. And I saw him swerving and then just swiping, scratching the cars.
Multiple cars?
Multiple cars along the street, and we called the cops, gave them the license plate number, and I hope later arrested. I don't know because they drove off, so technically hit and run.
Right.
Yeah, but bad situation.
Yeah.
So don't drink and drive from that one.
Don't drink and drive. The moral of the story.
And now for the language focus. First one, but the fact remains. So for my example, it's illegal to drink and drive, but the fact remains it still happens today.
Unfortunately, it does.
Right.
Okay, the second point is not supposed to. These days, you're not supposed to eat or drink on subways or public buses.
It's not a good thing, especially with pandemic.
Especially with COVID, yes.
All right, and that's it for our preview. We'll see you on the review.